Minch, I think is
Mensch.
what... Mensch.
Mensch.
Yeah, it sounds like a slur, but apparently it's supposed to be a compliment.
Yeah, it means you're a good guy.
Yeah.
Out there in Minnesota. So.
Welcome back to Jason and Rob Review, Golden Bachelor. This is episode 6. 2 episodes left after this one?
After this week, yep, we got two episodes remaining, so the end is near.
It is inevitable. Thank goodness. So today was the family visits, and so a reminder, if you don't remember, we only have Leslie, Faith, and Teresa left. And so to start this episode off, he went and visited Teresa's family.
Yes, and Teresa lives in Shrewsbury, New Jersey. They immediately started off calling back to that time in the car where she did the hand on the shoulder, and
it meant a lot.
The fact that moment has come up multiple times it's interesting.
Yeah.
She had her 2 sisters, her daughter, and her 3 grandkids at this meetup.
Yeah. It was a very interesting meetup. Gary was a robot the entire time. He has not evolved to the point where he's developed much personality. It's pretty much saying the same thing over and over. There's just it's so weird. Most important thing I think coming away from this is he had like a one-on-one conversation with her daughter Jen, and Jen just did not seem convinced that Teresa and him were going to make it. It was just like the body language with Jen was so off. It was not great.
It felt, I have it down, I said she's lying through her teeth. I don't know that she's really a fan of what's going on right now. I think she still misses her dad a lot, understandably. So Jen, I mean, she brought some tough questions, but I mean, Gary had okay answers.
Yeah,
but they weren't that great. You know, he got like a C on the interview with that one. But yeah, I also talked a little bit with the grandkids and with the sisters. The grandkids called out Teresa a little bit for she's always over here because she's so lonely.
Yeah, talking about how lonely she is, and then talking about how she does the duck lips thing
the duck lip
with selfies, like like that.
Yeah. And then they kissed on the Ferris wheel. Fireworks went off, and that was Jersey.
Yep, and far and away, the fireworks was the best part of that date.
Because there were no fireworks.
Because there was none between the two of them. The next one was Faith. Faith lives in a small town. I don't know actually, what was the name?
Benton City.
Benton City. No clue where Benton City is, but shout out.
Washington.
Oh wait, that's actually a sick place. Shout out Marty. So Faith had the next visit, and the connection is noticeably better.
Yes.
At least it appears to us noticeably better between the two of them. It just, they were able to kick it off great with the family. There's no point where it was like, oh, this doesn't seem good. There was no like vibes were off or anything like that. It was just good the entire time.
Yep. Yeah, I started off doing a little bit of horse riding. She's a country girl. She talked about how she grew up loving horses. Talked about how her old one was buried right by where they were sitting on the bench. So that was an interesting comment to make. But then we meet the family. We have the big sister. We have the 2 sons, and then we have, I think I counted 4 grandkids. So big sister was very protective. The sons kind of pester him about, are you in love? Which when he was asked a similar question with Teresa, he kind of gave a very roundabout, dodgy answer. But he says yes, and then they get together, and then they both say I love you. And then I think we had a new longest kiss on the show. Like that one, it was a good solid, like, I don't know, I wasn't counting. But maybe 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Yep.
Surprised they could hold their breath for that long. But yeah, biggest note, this is the first time I think he said I love you on the show. And
I think so.
I feel like I'd remember if he did otherwise.
Probably. I don't know.
I don't But yeah, this was huge news. Big dubs in the Faith camp, obviously. My pick to go from episode 1. So
good for you.
Feeling good about that. And then after that, there was the third family visit, which was Leslie's family in
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh yeah. So they meet.
All those minches up there.
Oh, the minches. So they meet. They go on a bench and talk. Leslie explains the situation with her brother. Her brother was basically her father from the age of 16 on. And then also talk about Minch, I think is
Mensch.
what Mensch.
Mensch.
Yeah, it sounds like a slur, but apparently it's supposed to be a compliment.
Yeah, it means you're a good guy.
Yeah,
up there in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So,
One of
Minnesotans, can we get some confirmation in the comments, please?
Yeah.
Us Nebraskans don't
also,
know these terms.
feel free to like, comment, subscribe, but only the Minnesotans. No one else has to. But yeah, this date, I don't have like the specific family members down, but I think it went pretty good too. He also said he loves Leslie to her. And they had a pretty long kiss on that one too, I think. But yeah,
decent one, yeah. Yeah, I had the brother, the 3 kids, and the 3 grandkids.
Yeah,
I was really excited to hear the conversation with the brother because it seemed like, from what little we knew about him, he was gonna be the most mentally stable person on this whole show, and he just kind of didn't really seem like he wanted to be there.
Yeah, which
Gary did ask for the blessing, and he gave it.
Yeah.
So that happened, but
I think him not wanting to be there does prove he is the most mentally stable person on the show. I think it does prove it.
Honestly.
But that was good. He inserted something about Menches as well. Very forced, but it was there. And then
back to LA.
Back to LA for the rose ceremony. And this one was crazy. To start off, Leslie got the first rose.
Yep, and there were only 2.
There's only 2.
And in the second rose, Gary grabbed it. He looked at both of the women, took a deep breath, and then put it back down. Gary walked off set, had his hands on his knees. He was saying some cuss words, which the Bachelor did bleep out, so we appreciate that.
Yes.
Way to keep it family friendly. And then he kind of, he said this is a really tough decision. And then they immediately cut to next week on The Golden Bachelor and showed us some highlights, which next week they will, apparently, he will pick the second woman. And then we're going to have like 40 minutes of an interview with the girls who were on the show and got eliminated. And I don't know. I don't want to be here next week. There's Panthers, Bears, and that might be more appealing.
There's a chance that there's a review of the rose ceremony next week, and that's it. We'll see. But yeah, that's how the episode ends. You got any final notes?
Very disappointed that there was no gritty this episode. The youths were finally put into the show. We had like a dozen grandkids between the 3 visits, and not one of them had Gary hit the gritty.
Yeah,
that's just a missed opportunity. So, what about you? Any final thoughts?
Victor Wembenyama, he's the real deal. Watching that past 50 minutes, it was man's legit. And Faith, I felt good about it. I still feel good about it. However, the fact that he wasn't able to choose Faith this episode makes it a little bit tougher. Yeah. I'm still pulling for that. Hope Thomas gets his $10, and that's all I got.
Yeah, we'll see you next week for what could be a very short review, depending on how long we can stand this. But we're pushing through for you, so you don't have to. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you next week.